heck of a lot easier. So what I invite all of you to do is to throw out the idea of best practice, doing your best, being your best. Instead, decide today that you can get better today than you were yesterday. You can get better tomorrow than you are today, and you can keep that pattern on repeat for the rest of your life. And I've learned that if you commit to that over a period of time, better always beats best if you give it enough time. Yet one of the things that we all have to get better at in this room full of people is the results that we get, right? Always, you do great, next is more, next is more, next is more. We always need to drive better results. Often those results are linked to our ability to be able to sell stuff. We've got to sell things. Quick show of hands in this room, who as a child said, when I grow up, what I'd like to be is a salesperson? I figured as much. Have some fun with me for a second. I'm going to jump down here. Is throw some words at me, some describing words, some adjectives that would describe a stereotypical salesperson. What we got? Pushy, sleazy, slimy. Keep going. We can be as mean as we like. What we got? Fake. Pushy. Arrogant. Pushy. What else? What else? Embarrassing. Desperate. Uncomfortable. Aggressive. Annoying. Snobbish. A liar! Woo! See, if somebody used those words to describe you, somebody saw that in you when they met you for the very first time, how are you feeling in here? Like not so good, like a little icky, right? No thanks. What if by alternative, though, I ask you not to describe a stereotypical salesperson? What if by alternative I ask you to describe a professional salesperson? How would these adjectives now change? Now we've got integrity. Geez, we were a liar a second ago. We're loyal, confident, genuine, great working, hard-working, knowledgeable, authentic, influential, persistent, honest. I mean, we were a liar a second ago. Now we're back to honest again. Wow. Service focused. See, if somebody saw that in you when they met you for the very first time, somebody used those words to describe you, how are you feeling right now? You're like, yeah, I'm good with that. I want you to catch two tiny, massive lessons in that example. Two tiny, massive lessons. The first is this, is being a salesperson is not a bad thing. The perception of being a salesperson is what is a bad thing. I mean, party people, we are in the direct selling business. But the perception of a salesperson is a bad thing. What does that mean? That means if anybody ever says the words to you that you are a great salesperson, there's a strong possibility that that is not a compliment. There's a strong possibility what they're actually saying is stop it now, stop it please. We're not looking for applause for our sales skills in this business. That's not the job we're looking for. What we're actually on the quest of is the receipt of something more important. Gratitude. We're looking to chase the thank yous more often. So if you can get people saying thank you to you and seeing the value in your products and service, pay the money on time, that's the sign of a job well done. Don't look for applause for your sales skills. Chase the gratitude in making an influence for the things that matter in other people's world. And that's the sign of a job well done in the sales environment. You think about the best salespeople you bumped into in your life, it wasn't the Wolf of Wall Street, was it? It was the people that helped you achieve something that mattered in your life and did it with a way that was graceful. We get the ability to be able to do the same thing. I said, though, there were two tiny, massive lessons in that little simple example. The second is definitely more profound. See, in that example, I changed one word, right? I changed this from stereotypical to professional. And when I changed one word, you, my friends, changed all of the words. You saw a completely different image in your mind's eye with stereotypical versus professional. What you saw here was gargantually different. Therefore, could it be possible, in many of the conversations that you're stepping into, day in, day out, the other person doesn't always see what you're saying? What they see is something different. What I've learned is what they see about what you're saying is more important than what you said or what you meant. We're going to spend some time today looking into this. Another thing about salespeople, and answer me this, are they born or made? Born or made, what do we think? Kind of a trickish question. I've got some lacking consensus of opinion here. Let me rephrase the question. What does a 3-year-old do when they want something?
They get it.
See, the first thing they do is they ask. Failing that, they ask again. and again, and again, and again. Failing that, what do?
Ask again.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Okay. Right.
They do whatever it takes. See, I believe that all of us were born with the innate ability to be able to sell stuff. Every single one of us in this room. Now, what's interesting, though, is that life trains it out of you over a period of time. I mean, finish this sentence for me. If you do not ask,
You don't get.
you do not get, you do not receive, you do not know. You know that to be true, yet still, quite often, we don't ask for what we want in life because nobody told us when to ask, or how to ask, or who to ask. We heard things as kids like it's rude to ask. I want doesn't get. See, some of those beliefs were really helpful at the time, and the time is now different. See, 3-year-olds knew to ask and ask and ask again. In fact, I'd take it as far as saying to you that your success is in direct correlation to the quantity of quality asks that you make in your life, period. Your success is in direct correlation to the quantity of quality asks that you make. So if that is true, please can some of you explain to me what is it that stops you and people like you from asking for the things that you want in life? What stops you or stands in your way? See, it's funny, I can ask this question in any language, anywhere in the world, and I always get any one of those same 3 answers. It's either fear, it's rejection, or it's fear of rejection. Any one of those 3 things. Let's just reframe some of our thinking about these things for a second. Let's take the rejection piece first of all. Show of hands here in the room, who's been rejected by somebody they care about in like the last 7 days? I don't know what it was. Maybe you wanted to go out for Chinese food and they're like, no thank you. Maybe it was like next vacation, love to go here, and they're like, are you kidding? Maybe you wanted to have fun in the bedroom and they're like, not tonight, honey. I don't know what it was. You had one idea, they had a different idea, you got rejected. And guess what? More often than not, no big deal. Literally, right? No big deal. Life keeps moving on, no loss of momentum. Why? Why are we so okay to accept rejection in our personal life, yet we put so much fear up for it in our professional lives? I think I know why. I think it's because in our personal life, we know for sure they were not saying no to us. They were saying no to it. That is very, very, very different. See, when my wife says no thank you to Chinese food, I know that we will get Chinese food again in the future. I'm okay with it. So she wasn't just saying no to it, she was saying no to it right now. Spicy noodles, chicken and broccoli, we will be reunited. We'll be together again. I mean, let's also be honest for a second. Who spent money on something in the last 6 months that they wouldn't have dreamed of buying 6 years ago? Somewhere like most of us. Why? Because your circumstances have changed. Other people's circumstances are changing all the time. Your business exists because other people's circumstances are changing all the time. In fact, you are in the business of changing circumstances, and if there's one thing I can be certain of, is circumstances will continue to change. See, when somebody said no thank you to you today, they could say, please, please, pretty please tomorrow. All that needs to happen, though, is that you need to be front of mind when that opportunity presents itself. The great speakers we had up here prior shared some things about your belief and the importance of your belief in what it is you're doing. Please note this, nobody wants to be a part of your test. If you are trying this on, seeing how this might work out, nobody's coming with you. So the people that said maybe today might just be watching how committed you are to be able to go on this journey before they decide to be able to join you. Because you don't want to go on a journey with somebody that isn't committed to be able to take that lead. So know for sure that people that say heck maybe today could be saying hell yes tomorrow. Is that useful thoughts about rejection? What about fear? Is fear real, yes or no? See, people have tried to convince us that fear is not necessarily real. Maybe you've seen an acronym, perhaps a corporate trainer. Maybe even one of you in the room has been guilty of taking the word fear and creating an acronym out of it, putting it up on a flip chart. It's like an F, an E, an A, and an R. And you say things like, all that fear really is false evidence appearing real. I must have seen this a gazillion times. Each and every time I see it, the best I get is I look at it and go, dang, that's cute. Because that's not how fear has ever shown up in my world. Never. Not once. Fear is very, very real, but it is very different in this industry. You see, when I see people faced with fear in this industry, what I see by alternative is I see F everything and run. Yes? It's like, how do we not do this? How do we go back to the way it used to be? Life's too hard. Be honest with yourself for a second. Is there something today that you are really, 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 really good at that once upon a time you were scared to do? Mm-hmm. Something that once upon a time you were really, really scared to do, but now you are a rock star at that thing. Interesting. Study the clues. What does that mean? It means that fear is the fertilizer of growth. That's what fear is. What I've got used to understand, though, in coming to America and spending as much time as I have done now in the US and surrounding areas, is people get to a point in their life where they don't want to be scared anymore.
That's right.
They think they're supposed to have it all figured out. Whether that's 22, 27, 35, 41, there's a point where they think they're supposed to have it all figured out. None of us have got it figured out. I'll just share that with you. Nobody has it figured out. Yet it's the people that are brave enough to be scared enough to keep stepping to create a better future. And fear is the fertilizer of growth. Rejection is part of the game. I cannot make it go away. Fear is the fertilizer of growth. They're not saying no to you, they're saying no to it. They're not saying no to it, they're saying no to it right now. Interesting, huh? Which brings me to the most important thing that I wanted to share with you all today. And the most important thing that I wanted to share with all of you today was... Oh yeah, that's it. When is the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say? Right? It's in the very moment that you're saying it. How many times have you stepped away from an important conversation and thought shoulda, woulda, coulda? How many times have you finished a meeting, put down the phone, hung up on Zoom and thought, who on earth was that idiot? And the person you were talking about is oneself. It is almost impossible to debrief a conversation and change it. Yet the best of the best of the best will take the time to pre-brief a conversation to be able to make that moment count. You're going to learn today just how pedantic I am about word choices. So much so that I did write this little book about them. It's a book I'm insanely proud of for a gazillion reasons. But one big one is it's a genuine bestseller. By which I mean that it sold 2.7 million copies, translated into 29 different languages. Wait, this little book outsold 50 Shades of Grey. And Harry Potter.
Oh, good.
Legit.
And what?
For one whole day. You take your wins, I'm taking mine, right? That's how this works. Yeah, why do I tell you that it's a best-selling book? It's because I learned that people are really good at buying books. I repeat, they're good at buying books. What are they not so good at doing? And then taking action on what lives inside said book. So I figured if I could take all of this information around persuasion and influence and cram it into a tiny little book, make the font this big, put white space around it, allow people to get cover to cover in like 60 minutes, chances are people might read it. And then what they might do is they might take action on what's inside and they might drive some results. And they do. I know they do, because every day a stranger writes to me to tell it it's true. It's a book full of what I call my magic words. What are magic words? They're words that talk straight towards the subconscious brain. Subconscious brain is powerful in the decision-making process because it has a yes output and a no output. There's no maybe in the subconscious. People think that no is the enemy of yes. It isn't. Maybe is the enemy. Indecision is the enemy. I mean, think to yourselves right now, the past 12 months, how many people almost nearly could have possibly, potentially, maybe moved forward as a partner or a customer of yours? If all of those people could decide with more conviction, what difference would that make to your momentum, your growth, your opportunity, your performance? It would fly, right? Still confused about this subconscious brain? I'll give you an example as where it would serve you. Does anybody remember like a familiar car ride where you remember getting into the vehicle in the morning and then you remember arriving at said destination and you have no idea how you got there? That was the subconscious brain that took the drive. Don't worry though, if anything unusual happened, conscious brain would grab the wheel in a nanosecond, you'd be back in control. But if we didn't trust our subconscious, we'd be exhausted 15 minutes after we wake up. So many decisions being processed in the background. Still confused about the subconscious brain? Please see it as nothing more than a little voice inside your head. That's it. And if you're sat there right now thinking that you haven't got a little voice inside your head, well, that, my friends, is the little voice. Learning to speak to other people's is what can create a fair advantage in almost any given conversation. See, quite often I get the chance to be able to share words with people and really go tactical on how you can use precise word choices to be able to create different outcomes. What I rarely get the opportunity to be able to do, though, is to take a step back. The challenge of writing a tiny little book is what you leave out, what you don't put in the book. Brevity is how you get to be able to sell millions of copies, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily relevant to everyone. What I rarely get the chance to be able to speak with people about is some of the thinking framework that exists behind all the word choices. An operating system you can upgrade to make you more influential in every conversation. Whether this is talking to somebody about the business opportunity and then becoming a brand ambassador, helping somebody be a VIP customer and have consideration to how the holiday product could be right for them at this time. Or whether it's a conversation with your kid or a friend or an existing colleague in the business, same rules apply. I figured if I could share these rules with you today, chances are you could all be better communicators in the moment that matters. The first of these 4 cornerstones is probably the most profound. I joked earlier that the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment where you're saying it. It's not a joke. Deadly serious. There's a word in that statement, though, that often gets overlooked. In fact, it's a word that's been used a lot at this convention. It's the word moment. Finding success in the micro moments that show up in your day to day to day to day to day to day is how we make magic happen with conversational excellence. There are so many moments that you know are going to happen in today's conversations, correct? Note this though, when it comes to getting better at conversation, you cannot write, perform and edit at the same time. I repeat, you cannot write, perform and edit at the same time. What do you and many of your people do when they find themselves in a moment? They try to write what they're going to say whilst performing what they're saying, whilst thinking about the thing they just said. Realize how hard that is? If the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment you're saying it, what pros would do is get ready, ready, ready for the known moments. You cannot get generally better at conversation. You can, however, choose your moments. When we run our 2-day certification programs around exactly what to say, we spend a huge amount of time digging into what are your critical conversations, the most important moments that have an over-indexing impact upon the overall success of the bigger objective. I invite every one of you in this room to choose 3 critical conversations in your life that you would like to level up. 1 in your personal life, 1 in your role as a leader, and 1 that's going to put money in your pocket. And I'm going to give you some insights around the precise level of specificity into what makes up a critical conversation. Because many of us just pick outcomes. What I'm looking for is the cog in the machine that is amplifying or destroying or impacting the success you're looking for. I'll share with you a very personal conversation I'm working on, a critical conversation in my world right now. I travel a lot for my work, which means I'm home a lot and I'm away a lot, and I'm home a lot and I'm away a lot, and I'm home a lot and I'm away a lot. Which means that there is a vast number of times where I'm not home with my wife and kids. What is the critical conversation that I'm focused on most? What comes out of my mouth in the first 15 seconds when I re-enter the home from following a trip? That's the level of precision and specificity I'm talking about. See, what happens if I mess that up? What's the chance of me having a good evening? Good weekend, good life, good marriage? Significantly reduced. If I can give some thoughtful thought to that moment ahead of time, what are the chances of me having a good evening, good weekend, good marriage, good life? Significantly better. Just by taking some thoughtful thought to say what's the moment that matters most to me in my personal life right now in terms of critical conversations. I'm not saying to steal mine, but you can borrow it if you haven't got a better one. But choose something in your personal life. I was working with a group of people the other day who are leaders. They said, Phil, our most important critical conversations when working with our team is every time we're working with our team. I said, it can't be every time you're working with your team. Some moments have to carry more weight than other moments. I said, so what are the moments that could make the biggest difference? They said, well, what I'm looking for is our team to take more clear direction on what they need to do day to day. I said, that's not a moment, that's an outcome. I said, where is the moment you're most likely to impact that outcome? They said, it's our one-to-ones, and it's our team meetings, and it's our morning huddles, and it's our everyday interactions. I said, it can't be all of them. Which one do you have more chance than anything else at being able to level up the outcome you're looking for? They said, it's probably our morning huddles. I thought, interesting. I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being your morning huddles are the best in the world, and 1 being, you're like, meh. How would you rate your morning huddles right now? You know what the dude said? He said 4. I said, let me get this right. Your morning huddles are the biggest vehicle that you have to be able to change the culture, the precision, the action that happens in your team day to day. That matters to you as an outcome more than anything else. That's the moment that you're most likely to influence that outcome, and you're happy at a 4? He said, well, I never saw it that way. I said, don't look to get better at conversation, look to get better at your morning huddles. Done. What happens is when you choose a moment to focus on, it bleeds everywhere else. That's what's interesting, is when you aim narrow, it bleeds. See, when I give thoughtful thought to the first 15 seconds when re-entering the home from a trip, I give thoughtful thought to re-entering any conversation. How I show up for an opening at any given known moment. What about from a business point of view right now? You know that you are having customers decide that they want to put their customer-ness on pause, correct? I love you, products are great, but we're just going to put it on pause for a while. They're just going to hold things back. They sneak attack, just cancel a subscription and hide from you and block your calls and you're like, they're ghosting me. All these things happen. Where are the critical conversations that show up in your process? Where are the moments where somebody goes from heck yes to I'm thinking about this to I might not no longer be a customer? Same with partners in your team, brand ambassadors, where is the moment where you are likely to lose somebody or catapult somebody or to turn somebody into a superstar? You cannot work on all of the moments, but pick the moments that are going to move the needle the most in your business. One personal, one as a leader, one that's going to put money in your pocket. What difference would it make is everybody in your organization knew their critical conversation personally as a leader and that's going to put money in their pocket? And that's all you worked on with them, that's all you worked on in yourself. What difference would that make? Huge. Stay there till your 4s become 10s, swap out your critical conversations, choose something new. Do the same, rinse and repeat forever. Second cornerstone of conversational excellence is to understand that curiosity is the fuel to great conversation. Curiosity, not certainty. You think about a motor engine. If you put the wrong fuel in a motor engine, what happens? It explodes, but not only that, does it work again? Highly unlikely. The same is true in the conversations we step into. If you show up to a conversation with too much certainty, chances are you might destroy the potential of that conversation forever. The starting place of curiosity is significantly better. Let's explain for why. Who in this room has kids or has been a kid? In those scenarios, has there ever been a time where you gave or received brilliant advice for completely the wrong problem? How many times have we been there, right? What curiosity does is it slows you down. It helps you understand the other person's context. In every conversation, you have content you would like to be able to introduce. Content about the brilliance of your opportunity. Content about the brilliance of your products. Content about the brilliance of your idea. If you look to insert content before you've earned context, all you did is make a noisy world noisier. Take the time to understand somebody else's context. Simplest of examples might be a kid in your life that comes and says, hey, this is happening and this is happening and I'm in a disaster, and you jump straight into here's what you need to do. Or don't worry, honey, when I was in your shoes at that time, here's how it was for me. And they're like, you don't get it. Slow the process down and speed the outcome up. You know that nobody, I repeat, nobody wants to do what you're doing. Nobody wants to buy your products. Nobody wants to be a brand ambassador. I mean, nobody. They want to be a brand ambassador because they want to be able to get the benefits of your products because if you can't take the time to learn their because, then what you are is a product pusher as opposed to a people helper. Slow the process down and understand the context before you show up with your content. Which dances me towards this third cornerstone, that people do things for their reasons and not yours. I'm often asked for a definition around selling or what selling is. Dictionary definition for selling in my world is earning the right to make a recommendation. I repeat, earning the right to make a recommendation. What that means is you should never, ever, 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 ever invite somebody to take an action unless you can say these words first. And the words you should look to say first are the words, because of the fact that you said. Because of the fact that you said blank, blank, and blank, then for those reasons, what I'd recommend is blank, blank, and blank. If you can show up to conversations with that simple framework, you will have more influence. Very easy to do in theory, much harder to do in practice, because collecting the blanks is challenging. Fourth cornerstone of conversational excellence is to remember that it's the person that's asking the questions that's in control of the conversation. Why are questions so important? Because they earn us context, they collect us evidence. Regardless of what happens with AI, regardless of what happens with technology, regardless of what happens in the future, I'm 100% certain this 5-step dance will never change, and it's the reason that network marketing will exist for the foreseeable future and all the time I have air in my lungs, for sure. It's that questions create conversations. Conversations lead to relationships. From relationships, you create opportunities, and only from those opportunities do you drive action or change. That's it. Questions, conversations, relationships, opportunities, action, sales, change. Everybody says, I just need more opportunities and I can make more sales. I just need more opportunities, I'll get more brand ambassadors. I just need more opportunities, I'll grow the business, change my life. Here's what I'd say to those people. Who are the people you need to be asking more questions of? What are the conversations that you need to be having that you're not? Where do you have relationships that hold untapped opportunities? Where have you created opportunities that require you to pattern interrupt to drive the next action? You didn't catch it, write those 4 questions down. Who are the people you need to be asking more questions of? What are the conversations you need to be having that you're not? Where do you have relationships that hold untapped opportunities? Where have you created opportunities that require you to pattern interrupt to drive the next action? If you could ask those 4 questions slowly and meaningfully to everybody in your organization, do you think they'd have a pretty powerful to-do list? Do you think they'd know where to focus? Do you think they'd know who they might be able to enter into more meaningful conversations with? Instead, sometimes as leaders we say, just try harder, just do more, just keep posting, it's easy, just. The insertion of the word just is quite often destroying the potential of somebody believing in the action you're asking them to take. Look to remove the word just from your vocabulary, it's an excuse. How many times have you used it? Honey, I've just got to get this email out. I'll just be a minute. Stop justing all over people. I want to prove just how good we are at questions. Remember I said that the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is at the moment you're saying it? Remember I said that? So I'm going to ask some questions of you folks in the audience, just to prove how good we are. And I'm never going to ask anybody a question they haven't been asked before. So who do I pick on? Typically people that try to avoid eye contact. So I'm going to ask you a question. Your name is? Hey Patty, how are you? So I asked Patty, hey, how are you? Her little inside voice says, I know this one! She says, fine, thank you. Period. Done. Conversation is over. I wanted a level 1 example. Patty, thank you for giving it to me. I'm very, very impressed by you. I need somebody to give me a level 2 response. Who do I think's got the ability to give me level 2? This young lady, your name is? Emily. Hey Emily, how are you? See, she's like that inside voice. See, we've become so efficient with language, we fail to be effective. Because she says, I'm great. Done. Game over. What happened to the conversation from here? We killed him. She gave me level 2. She's like, I'm supposed to ask something back. What can I ask? What can I ask? What can I ask? Brains on overdrive. She hits me the same question back. So what do I almost always respond? I'm great too, right? Funny that. Isn't it funny that we are always about the same as the other person we're asking the how are you questions to? Always about the same. I mean, be honest. I mean, how great are you at this moment in time? In levels of greatness, pretend being the greatest day of your life. Ah, so she's not that great. We're trying to start a relationship based on trust, and she lied. There are only 2 levels of the hey, how are you question. We become so efficient with language, we fail to be effective. I mean, geez, people were networkers. This happens all the time. Now I've pointed it out, you'll watch it. Like, hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. Hey, how are you? Good. No. Hey, how are you? Yeah, good. Hey, how are you? Yeah, good. It's all that happens everywhere, all over the world. Slow the process down, we speed the outcome up. Let me show you something else we do. Who do I pick on? You. Your name is? Brittany, tell me about the last place you went on your vacation.
Mayakoba, Mexico.
Mayakoba, Mexico. Oh man, I love Mexico. That's near Cancun, I think. I was there a short while ago for an event. I don't get to go to Mexico very often. That border crossing is a little more annoying than staying inside the North American, like typical route. I travel a ton though. I wouldn't say Mexico is my favourite place to go to. I think beach-wise, I definitely prefer Sydney. I was in Sydney maybe 3 years ago for an event with a little company called Volkswagen. I don't know if you know, but I'm a professional speaker. Traveled all around the world. I've spoken in 59 different countries, been on 5 different continents, written 8 best-selling books, and I'm friggin' awesome. Fun, right? So fun. How often though does this happen? We ask somebody a question, we get an answer, we follow up by telling them our version of their answer, thinking that's fun for them? Wasn't fun, was it?
Wasn't.
Can we try again?
Yes.
Tell me about the last place you went on your vacation.
Mayakoba, Mexico.
Mayakoba, Mexico. Cool, when was that?
Now.
Right now, this is vacation?
You too?
That's amazing. Well, how did you manage to get to be here in Mayakoba?
Well, I changed some lives, helped the people get healthier, showed them how to help other people get healthier, and here I am.
Well, that's simple. I mean, that doesn't sound like it can be that simple. So, you're here alone or are you here as part of a group?
I'm here with my husband and part of a group.
Okay. And what's your husband up to right now?
He's working on some house plans back in our room.
Oh, brilliant. House plans. You changing some things up back home?
No, he draws house plans for a living.
Ah, okay. That's what he does for work?
Yes.
Fantastic. And you guys have any kids or anything that way around too?
We have 6 kids. You?
Fantastic. 6 children. I mean, this is perfectly comfortable, natural conversation, right? Like 1,000 people in the room and we're just chatting about personal stuff, no big deal. Was that a little more natural?
Yes.
How many questions did I prepare? Just the first one? Where did the rest of my questions come from? Which meant I had to do what? Possibly the most underrated skill to exist in professional salesmanship is our ability to listen. Let's just take a look at the word together. Look at it. It has an L, an I, an S, a T, an E, and an N in it. Here's another word. It has an L, an I, an S, a T, an E, and an N in it. Coincidence? Well, yes, actually. Makes one heck of a point though, right? So many of you are slowing down the process in your organization because what happens is you show up and you throw up. You don't take the time to be able to listen to what it is that's really going on. In fact, for fear of being salesy, you become sales prevention officers. You stand in the way of the success of your business. Slow the process down, leave the space for other people to talk. Many people will talk themselves into exactly what you're hoping to if you give them enough time to be able to do so and you don't cut them off. Here are some precise words you could use to encourage people to talk about themselves. You might want to write these down, yet some are quite difficult to spell. They're words like Wow. Really? What do words like that say? They say, keep going. They say, tell me more. They say, I like this. Has anybody seen the movie Shrek? Yes. In the movie Shrek, Shrek says, ogres are like, because they have, people be the same. We have layers. Yet we live in such a fast-paced world that we've become so efficient with language we fail to be effective. I've seen it with direct sellers over the world that an opportunity presents itself and inbound comes the 355-word text message with link to subscribe. The best games of tennis are the ones with the longest of rallies, correct? Where it goes. That's when we start to enjoy it, right? If it was ace, nobody would watch the game. If you want to up-level your conversational competence, allow it to go boom, 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 boom. Would you like to know the number one reason clients and prospects ghost you? They didn't ghost you. They didn't know how to reply to your complicated question. One of the biggest reasons that text messages don't get replied to? Because there was more than one question in the text. Or there wasn't a question mark at the end of said text message. Crazy, right? Yeah, here we are, they're ghosting me. I mean, they hate me, they're so mean. No, they're just busy. Life goes on. If a text doesn't get replied to promptly, a direct message doesn't get replied to promptly, then where does that direct message or text message find itself 3, 5, 7 hours later? Read and off the first screen. The person isn't ignoring you, they just didn't find your question easy enough to answer, or it wasn't a priority to them at that moment in time. Take responsibility for the quality of your questions, and what you can then do is you can increase your levels of engagement. Learn to write better questions. What kind of questions do we need to write? Well, question framework in my mind should follow a very precise order. Any given environment you're stepping into, you want 3 ingredients, just 3 critical ingredients to be more influential in any conversational moment. We touched on the first earlier, is to start from a position of curiosity. Because if you don't, you're starting from a position of certainty. If you'd like to create certainty in a conversation, certainty in a belief, certainty in an outcome in somebody else, certainty is not the tool to get you there. Certainty creates uncertainty. Ever been in a conversation where somebody is so sure of themselves? They have that I know best mentality. They want to tell you how things could be. And then they have this high levels of confidence bordering on arrogance. And you're like, really now, huh? Your inside voice wants to say, I'm going to prove you wrong and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to be able to fight against your ignorance. True or true? If you want to create certainty, curiosity will get you there. When you stay curious for long enough, you dance towards this next ingredient, one of empathy. Empathy is like a buzzword right now. People are throwing it around, still without true understanding of its meaning. Best definition I've ever heard for the word empathy comes from a speaker-author friend of mine by the name of John Acuff. And John Acuff describes empathy as to care about what the people you care about. I can't do better than that, so I'm going to borrow John's definition. See, there's a button that lives inside the head of every decision maker on the planet. It's a button that I call the show me that you know me button. The second you can trigger the show me that you know me button, no longer is it you versus them. It's you and them versus it. That is different. Many moons ago, people would talk about sales excellence as like, I won the deal, I won the client, I won the business. If you are the winner, what does that make the other person? Something most people don't choose to be. What we're actually looking for is 2 winners. How do you get 2 winners? Well, you choose an obstacle or a mountain or a goal or an opportunity that is outside the decision. You're in the business of helping people feel better, look better, live better. Describe what better is to them in their world, and all of a sudden you're on the same team. You're helping somebody get prepared for a wedding. You're helping somebody to have more energy around blank. You're helping somebody to be able to feed their kids. You're helping somebody to be able to give up the day job that they hate. I don't care what it is, but that's the goal. Not making rank, not even making money. Because you know nobody wants more money, correct? Nobody. They want more money because you're in the business of helping motivate people about money. Find the because. If you didn't spend the extra money with them, for them, on something that matters for them, they will not run towards it. Spend the money so you know what the money means to them. When you've been empathetic for long enough, it dances us towards this third ingredient, one of courage. Now, I'm not talking about go to war courage, climb a mountain courage, jump out of an aeroplane courage, different type of courage. I'm talking about the courage to just ask. Finish this sentence for me again. If you do not ask, you do not get, you do not receive. No, see, asking though is the only thing that drives action. Your success is in direct correlation to the quantity of quality ask that you make in your life, period. Yet if you just run out in the world asking for what you want, what are you? You are pushy, you're obnoxious, you're self-serving, you're a liar. If by alternative though, what you do is you ask curious questions to understand context. Then you ask a series of empathetic questions to become relatable. And then you have the courage to ask big, bold, action-focused questions to drive the change you're looking for. What are you now? Now you're on the same side. Now you're consultative. Now you're a friend. Now you're helpful. Now you're winning together. So my ask of all of you is to start doing more of this. Stop just counting the conversations you're having. Start making more of those conversations count. What do I invite you to remember? Worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment you're saying it. Get ready for the critical conversations in your life. Curiosity is the fuel to great conversations. So if you're looking to have a difficult conversation, start strategically curious. Remember that people do things for their reasons and not yours. So if you're ever giving advice, preface the ask with the words "because of the fact that you said." Because of the fact that you said blank, blank, and blank, for those reasons I'd recommend you do blank, blank, and blank, your conversion rate will go through the roof. And remember, it's the person that's asking the questions that's in control of the conversation. Curious questions, empathetic questions, courageous questions. Curious questions, empathetic questions, courageous questions. Ladies and gents, I've been Phil Jones. It's been a privilege to play with you today. I wish you all the success in the world. Okay.
I'm gonna get curious. Let's let you guys ask a couple questions. Does anybody raise your hand? We'll get a mic to you if you would like to ask Phil a question.
Okay, you mentioned the 365 character message. So when we started there, somewhere along our journeys with Plexus, how do you come back to a beautiful question asking model when you've got previous conversations that you totally blew it?
Oh, so you want to go and revive the dead?
We want to redeem ourselves, yes.
Okay. If you wanted to redeem yourself, what would be the first thing you should do? Any set of circumstances. Start with an honest apology, correct? Mm-hmm. And I would use a framework that we talk about in our certification program, which is a framework called OFQ, which is Opening Fact Question. And it allows you to start any conversation cold without it being cold, as long as you've got a polite opening, a mutually agreeable fact, and an easy to answer question. So polite opening would be, hi, your name, hi, it's Phil again. I'd suggest you probably use your own name. The mutually agreeable fact was, I know that I looked to connect with you 14 months ago about blank, 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 and chances are that the message that I sent to you was too verbose and probably turned you off more than created intrigue. Just label the monster, right? Anybody seen the movie Eminem? With Eminem, 8 Mile? Yeah. In the 8 Mile movie, Eminem's so concerned about Papa Duck crushing him at the rap battle, right? So concerned that what he does, he takes everything the dudes are going to say about him and his mom and his girlfriend and where he lived and how he grew up, puts it out there up front, wins the rap battle, creates a mic drop moment. So own your trash, right? Put it there. And if there's an elephant in the room, put the elephant in the room. Now guess what? You ride the elephant. Right? That's how it works. So what you then do is you put this fact in the room. I know that I looked to connect with you 40 months ago because. What I then do is ask an easy to answer question. The easy to answer question is something like, are you folks still living in the New York area? An easy to answer question is, are you still working in the education sector? Not, would you be interested in working a few hours part-time with our fantastic products to build yourself a supplementary income, go on fantastic trips, be able to fire your boss and change your life forever? Not that. So what you then do, right, is you say, so are you still living in ABC area or working in XYZ industry? They say yes. What I now do is I now use a past, present, future questioning arc. My past arc would be what's been happening for you since. So what's been happening for you since the pandemic? What's been happening for you since last time we met at the kids' playground thing? What's been happening for you since XYZ? And then they know, I know this one, that comes back. What I then do is I ask so where are you at question. So, where are you guys at right now? What's happening in your world? And I'm like, well, we're just busy with the kids, and we're busy with this, and busy with the other, and work pressures, etc. So what are you doing in order to be able to get yourself out of that rut? Out of that change? Not much. So do you see it changing by doing not much? No, not really. Now what I can do is put a future-face question with a rejection-free opening formula. I'm going to lift some words directly from the book. I can preface and ask with the words, I'm not sure if it's for you, but, and now all of a sudden it will pass straight through. And I'm going to add the second set of words from the book to it too. The words open-minded. I'm not sure if it's for you, but how open-minded would you be to learning about some alternative ways that you might be able to create the change you're looking for in your life? See, I'm not offering anything. I'm pulling and not pushing. What are they going to say? Tell me some more about that. You might then say, well, when would be a good time for us to have maybe a whole 8 minutes to have a Zoom or in person or a telephone conversation? Right? I'm not going to put it. I'm now going to take it offline or away from the messaging. And they're going to say, well, maybe this evening. You say somewhere like 7:15? No, not on the hour or on the half hour, because I've said this is a short conversation. Somewhere like 7:15. And she says, well, can you do sometime after 8? You say, like, how about 8:10? Right? What you then do is you then call 8:10. You say, hey, it's Phil calling. They say, hey, thanks for calling. You say, I'm just calling as promised. They say, thank you again. You know when somebody says thank you to you, they feel indebted? What's the best way to start a conversation you're looking to influence or change? Other person feeling indebted. I get to that conversation, what do I now do? I use a past, present, future arc again. What's happened for you since? Tell me some more about what it is that's really going on. And then I'm going to use a what do you know about question. What do you know about the benefits of products like Boom? What do you know about the number of people that could see the benefit in products like this? Who do you know in your locality that might have a benefit for those kind of products or services? They're like, well, plenty. You say, well, tell me why you wouldn't do this. See how that approach helps? Tell me why you wouldn't, as opposed to let me give you 5 good reasons why you should. So I know we started with how do you rescue, but it just kind of played out an evening.
James Eason, I'm a big fan of your book on chapter 22, and thank you for reading it in person. Like, your voice is awesome. Now, because you said something earlier about your workshop and 2-day certification, something about that.
Yeah.
What is available for us collectively and our teams to engage more with your content?
Okay. Well, thank you for asking. It's the most listened to non-fiction audiobook of all time, not because it's the most sold, but because people listen to it on repeat, on repeat, on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. Repetition is the mother of all skill. So I'm going to give you a few things you can do for no money first. Firstly, re-listen to the book. Secondly, remind yourself of your critical conversations. Decide your 3 critical conversations in life, and then reread the book with only those conversations in mind, crafting yourself examples around those situations. Build yourself some muscle memory. Other thing you can do with your teams, particularly if you run things like book clubs, is pick a sequence of words from the book and just decide like it's most people Monday. And that you're going to utilize a sequence of words as much as you can as a team in any one 24-hour window. Be obnoxious with it. I'm going to use it recruiting, I'm going to use it with past clients, I'm using it at Starbucks, I'm using it with my kids, I'm using it in the bedroom, I'm using it everywhere I can, right? In as many ways as you possibly could. In a 24-hour window, stretch that muscle memory out, and if you're obnoxious with it in playtime, it will stretch back, and when you need those skills more, then they'll show up for you more in real life. If you like the book and love the book and want some exercises, we do run a free 31-day challenge. It's on exactlywhattosay.com, and you'll hear from me or one of our certified guides every day for about 50 days with a sequence of words and something you can do to go use it in your real world so you get practical application. But in particular reference to the certification programs, we have a full curriculum around exactly what to say. 32 sequences of words, ability to stitch them together, and I run 2-day workshops in New York City, 16 people, private certification events, looking over a little park called Central Park, and very private, intimate, 2-day premium experience to certify folks there. Find out about those again on exactlywhattosay.com, or if you're intrigued, ping me on Instagram and I'll send you the link. 16 people events we hide so that we get the right 16 people in the room. And then I also have certified partners across the country that run the same program in different locations too, in terms of going deeper on all things Exactly What to Say. Plus, we got somewhere like 900 articles on exactlywhattosay.com where other individuals have put their take around the work for different examples. So, long answer to a short question.
Excellent. What else do most people want to know? Let's ask. Are there any last questions? Over here? Great.
I have a real life, live question going on right now.
Love it. Let's go.
So I just get a message from a brand new team runner. Hey Misty, this is my friend Lindsay. She is looking to get started with Plexus. I hope you could help her figure out what's going on with her body and what she might need to do to help her feeling herself again. And I'm like, listening to all the things in my head that you just said, and I'm totally frozen.
You just broke it. I broke you. No, there's some value in this, right? The worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment you're saying it. And historically, what you might have done is just launch straight into taking this monkey on your back and solving it, and not necessarily supporting the person that is looking to be able to get the help, right? You might just literally run straight with this. The fact that you've taken a beat, taken a breath and gone, I don't have to respond instantaneously, I can give myself a few seconds, is actually a useful thing that we should all give appreciation to. Taking a beat sometimes just allows your second thought and your third thought to be better than your first thought. So give yourself that gift of grace. What outcome are you looking to achieve?
Well, I would hope that I would ask questions that are curious and I get some input from her and I listen to her and hear her. And I
so you've just been looped into a group text or a group chat?
Yeah, she just literally just happened.
Okay, so she's just gone, done. There you go, sponsor. Earn your money. Right? So what I'd do is, before responding, I'd kick a one-way message back towards the person that you've recruited, that is your new runner, and say, hey, look, before I dive in here, what do you think best advice? What are you thinking that you might better be able to do? And actually build that muscle memory of getting them to play hypothetical first. Then take some of their words, and what you can now say is, what's the name of your new runner?
Nikki.
So you can say into the group text, Nikki's told me so much about you. That's a fact, right? Excited to be able to help you with this, and then you can ask a couple of questions. First would be, what is prompted you most to commit to going on this journey with us? And let them sell you on the why first, as opposed to you getting straight into the here's what I can do for you. Because you need the evidence of that. You're going to need it to take this person on the journey. You're going to need it for long-term customer retention. Because you're going to need it to keep coming back to. Because you know if somebody's looking to leave, if you haven't got that upfront big reason, you can say, so is it okay that that change you were looking for is not going to happen in your life? Are you good with that? I remember once a person telling me they wanted to join my business and they wanted to earn enough money to be able to go on, to be able to take the kids to Disneyland, and then it got hard and they said they were going to give up. I said, it's okay, you tell the kids they're not going to Disney. They said, that sounds hard. I said, well, should we get back to work? But what I'd be looking for is to understand some of their motivation in it, and I'd be playing two conversations at once. The key is here, you don't take the monkey on your back and show. What you do is you allow rehearsal time for your new recruit, your runner, alongside them being able to pre-brief and think about what you do. You then do what you said was going to happen, they then see it, you then in debrief, ask these questions back to your person, once you've got to the end of it. What did you learn? One of the most important questions is, what did you learn? Let them tell you. And what else? Watch what more you get from an and what else question. Then ask, so how might you go about doing this yourself next time? And watch what happens is you're now growing people alongside it. They might say, well, I'm still not ready to be able to do this myself as of next time. You say, well, how much more ready are you next time than you would have been otherwise? They're like, I'm a lot more ready. How many times do you think you might need to do this with us alongside each other before you feel confident in helping other people be able to provide the same level of advice? Well, I probably need to see you do it 5 more times. Okay, we know where we're at. 4th time, you can then say, do you still need the 5th? They're like, no, I'm good. You're like, wow, you did better than expected. Important point about success. One of the biggest reasons that people leave this industry is because they do not feel successful. The word I want to focus on there is feel. Success is merely a feeling. There are so many metrics to what success could look like in this industry. The most important one is what feeling successful is for the other person. If they feel successful, they stay. If they fail to feel successful for long enough, that's where they'll look to get a leave, both from a VIP customer point of view and a brand ambassador point of view. Help them feel successful. Set bars that they can jump slightly over. But this is less about your conversation with the customer, more about the conversation with the brand ambassador, in my mind.
Yes.